Welcome to the Running Hook Podcast with Alex Burr. Hello, welcome back to another edition of the Running Hook Podcast. I am joined yet again by my friend Bryce. I don't even think I need to do your last name at this point. You've been on so many weeks in a row.
Right.
But we're clearing it out for you at the beginning, Bryce. I'm just calling it ISO. I'm clearing out Allen Iverson style. You go ahead. You got something you want to get off your chest.
Yes, I was very irked. This weekend. Sunday, I was sent a typical or one of those, grids. Okay, you got $15 to build your team. Build it. All right, great. I thought it was pretty simple. Michael Jordan's worth $5. Put Michael Jordan as my centerpiece, right? Trying to build the best team possible. All right, who wouldn't want Michael Jordan? Well, apparently I was wrong. I have found myself in a group chat with 4 other people that believe that Michael Jordan isn't the best player ever to play basketball, which is genuinely absurd to just about everyone that has either watched this documentary or not watched this documentary. No, the documentary hasn't changed anything. We know Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. This documentary just further cements his legacy as the GOAT, period. 6 versus 3 to LeBron James? Are you kidding me? Not to mention, Michael Jordan didn't just add people to his team. In fact, he really had no control over player personnel. That was left to yours truly, Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf, which I'm sure you're going to murder at the end of this episode today.
Oh,
right?
I believe me, Reinsdorf has it coming, but we're not going there yet. This is Bryce.
We're not there yet. We're not there.
The ball
yet.
and passing it right back.
Right. So you're trying to tell me that LeBron has to go out and join forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, who are all-stars before they play with LeBron, correct? Right?
Correct.
You add Ray Allen, who not only saves LeBron's legacy in the series against the Spurs. Boy, I wish JD was here all of a sudden, but saves his legacy against the Spurs. Goes back to Cleveland, has Kyrie Irving, who is a previous All-Star already, adds Kevin Love, who was a previous All-Star already, and still only wins 1 chip. Just 1 chip, right? LeBron James had complete control over player personnel, and you only come out with 3 rings. You go 3-6 in the finals. Michael Jordan, he was just given players. Right? Did Jerry Krause have a better eye for talent? Sure. Scottie Pippen, fine. That was great. Signing Dennis Rodman, great. Drafting Horace Grant, great. All right. Trading away Charles Oakley, who ended up being, a Hall of Famer type guy that played a vital role in the Knicks. They just traded him away for Bill Cartwright. I mean, now we kind of look back on that trade. We're like, okay, that might not have been the greatest trade in the world, but it worked because Jordan made it work. LeBron makes it work for his teammates, but he doesn't have the killer instinct that Michael Jordan does. It's just not there. It's not there. You lose to Dirk Nowitzki when Jason Kidd and Sean Marion are pretty much washed. You lose to – that also has Tyson Chandler, who's not a great offensive threat, right?
He was killer on defense, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing taken away from Tyson Chandler there. Okay, back in LeBron James' early years in Cleveland, they get swept by the Spurs, okay, because that Cleveland team had no business being in the finals, right? Good team, not great. I understand why they got swept. The Spurs have their killer big 3 with Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, right? That's hard to beat. But, you run into the buzzsaw that is the Golden State Warriors. Not once, but a couple times. Right? I don't know what was going to happen this season. I think that was going to tell a lot about LeBron's legacy. If this starts back up, I'd be interested to see what's going to happen. Maybe Kawhi comes back healthier He's had time to rest. The Clippers make a run at it. But the nonsense that LeBron is the greatest of all time, I just don't see it. I don't see it. If you're going straight off stat lines, I really don't feel like that's a good argument, just because Jordan, he averaged more points. Okay, LeBron's got Jordan in rebounds and assists, but only by, I think it's 1 rebound and 2 assists per game, all-time career. Not to mention Michael Jordan won the dunk contest, and then he won that one, right?
Michael Jordan won. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he won the dunk contest.
Yeah, won the dunk contest. Defensive Player of the Year, 9-time defensive or All NBA defensive team. 9 times. LeBron's made it 6. Now LeBron's not done playing. I could see him making it more, maybe. But what I've seen since he's gone to LA is less defense from LeBron. I don't know how you feel about that, AB, but I've seen a lot less.
He's been better on defense this year than he has really since the last season in Miami. Like, he wasn't good. He hasn't been good since the last year they won the finals in Miami on defense. And LeBron's defense this year actually was kind of good. I mean, it's in the playoffs, he's an exceptional defensive player, but his lack of effort in the regular season, I actually have a theory on that. Me and our friend Caleb, we're going to do a podcast on an old game this week. I'm going to explain why I think LeBron stopped playing defense. But I do think the fact that he stopped trying in the regular season is a damning thing, I will admit.
Yeah. Yep, I would agree. I just don't think there's any comparison. The fact that, and it was even in this week's this week's episodes, it's Michael had he felt like he had a responsibility to not only his team, but the people that came to see him. He wanted to play all 82 games, every single game in the playoffs, because he knows that we're paying money to come see him. In today's NBA, if we buy a ticket, we may not see the player that we came to see anymore. We're in the area of low. What's that?
I said that's happened to me with LeBron. I bought a ticket and LeBron didn't play.
Right. We're in the era of load management. Is it a different time? Yeah. Did Michael go through a lot of injuries and a lot more physical play during his era? I think so. But every night he strapped on those Jordans and he came out there and he gave you a show. You knew what to expect.
So I'll just kind of go ahead and just drop my theory now. I'm not going to reveal which game we watched because, frankly, I just don't want to spoil that. But the game that I watched, there wasn't as much moving throughout the game. You didn't move, like, help defense wasn't as prominent, because I don't know how much you know about the old illegal defense rules, but I'm going to explain it to anyone that doesn't know. The old illegal defense rules stated that if your guy was outside the 3-point line, you couldn't be inside the paint. So all these help rules that they have now, they didn't exist in the 90s. And you weren't having guys trying to run like crazy curls to get open, because that's what you need to do now. You need to move more. The game just involves a whole lot more moving now. And so I think that's why you see guys playing reduced minutes, because frankly, you could play 40 minutes back in the 90s and it would feel like 32 does now. That's probably more like 36 now. But just the amount of movement that there is in the game today is just drastically different. Like, you're moving so much. Like, Duncan Robinson, for many reasons, wouldn't exist in the 90s. The reason he wouldn't exist most is just because he doesn't play like they did then. He is such a good mover off the ball, and you didn't need a whole lot of those guys, because that's why the triangle offense is so revolutionary to me, because you made the defenses have to move. The defenses always had to move because they were having to deal with constant cutting, constant all that, and it just isn't the same for a lot of teams anymore. I think the triangle is a key part of all NBA offenses now, because there's just so much more movement. You can't just stand still. And so I do think that MJ was more of an Iron Man, but I think it was easier to be an Iron Man when the score is 78-74 as opposed to 130-122.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. No, I agree with you. I think it's a good point. I mean, I think it would be interesting, if we had, I don't know. I have a great respect for everybody in their own era. Do I think LeBron James is a bad player? No, but he's not the greatest of all time. He's number 2, maybe 3,
Right.
all time. But Michael Jordan is the greatest player to ever put on a basketball uniform. Period.
And this is another thing I'm gonna say too. There's nothing wrong with second place. There's
No.
there's literally nothing wrong with second place. I mean, you should aspire to be first, but finishing second out of, especially in LeBron's case, second out of however many thousands of players that played in the league, that's pretty good.
Right. And you're beating out other legends, the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, the Karl Malones, the Wilts,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's. If you
Right.
love Kareem, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Kareem has a legible argument to be the GOAT.
Right.
I would probably. It's crazy because I changed my mind. This documentary changed my mind so much. Before I would argue it was either LeBron or Michael. Now LeBron just isn't the same for me after watching this. Just because Michael was so much more well-rounded than LeBron. Because like you said, the defense was just superior. Even though I did kind of argue for LeBron's defense there. But nonetheless, I still think that I think it's between Michael and Kareem, although I'm not mad if you put LeBron at second. It's kind of weird. But I think you could have Michael first, Kareem first, or LeBron second.
Yeah.
It's
I think we all agree that Bill Russell is not the greatest of all time, nor is he top 3.
No offense, but it's just
I respect Bill Russell, but that's nonsense.
he would be Josh Smith. Not Pistons Josh Smith, Hawks Josh Smith.
Hawks Josh Smith, yeah.
We're not going that disrespectful. We're not going to say he was Josh Smith in Houston. We're not going to do that today.
That's a different day.
But so anything else for you on this rant, or you want to get into the episodes?
No, I mean, it just speaks for itself. I just don't understand the argument. Okay, yeah, he passes better. Okay, cool. But who do I need to win a game? Who do I need to make a clutch shot? It's Michael Jordan. Who do I want in the finals? Do I want a guy who has a losing record in the finals, or do I want a guy that's undefeated in the finals? I'm gonna take the guy that's undefeated.
Right.
It's simple.
Sometimes the only numbers you need are 6 is greater than 3.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think we could do a full fleshed out LeBron versus MJ podcast. I'm a little too on the fence, so I need to bring in I'd want to bring in Will Hogsett, our friend Will.
Yeah, I think he would be I think he's the only one in our little in our friend group here that believes LeBron is the greatest.
I just get Will and JD, but I don't think that would happen. But I want to see it.
Yeah, it'd be entertaining, that's for sure.
So we're gonna move on to the episode now. That was a great start. I feel the energy just coursing through me. This is a great start. But so we'll start with episode 7. I think it's safe to say that episode 7 was the best episode of this by far.
Yes, I would agree with that.
It's episode 7 covered the death of James Jordan and how it impacted Michael, and then it talked about the conspiracy theory that David Stern suspended MJ for 18 months, which led to 3 great quotes. By the way, David Stern, underutilized in this documentary.
Yeah, rip to the great David Stern. Honestly, though, I'm not a big David Stern guy. I'm really not. I think there were too many misses. I think he was too passive in some situations, and then he came off kind of strong in some situations where it kind of came out of nowhere. Not the biggest David Stern guy, but I respect him. I respect what he did for the NBA and how he grew it.
Oh, for sure. And then we had the famous Scottie Pippen on the bench incident.
Yeah.
That was interesting. And then we had your boy Tito Tito Francona.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tito.
Bryce, for those of you that don't know, is a Red Sox fan. And Tito's got to be one of your favorite managers, I'm guessing?
Yeah, he's the favorite so far. Alex Cora was making a run, and then he decided to cheat. So you decide to cheat. Sorry, man. Gots to go.
So let's start with the Michael Jordan dad stuff, because that was kind of really profound.
Yeah.
I thought. So I'll start with this takeaway. His dad disappeared for a while before they thought anything to like look for him.
Yeah, that was really disturbing. That was really disturbing and obviously concerning. Now, which also kind of leads me to believe this is they didn't really sound the alarm till after a couple days, because I feel like maybe Jordan knew something, or I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it still didn't have to do with something gambling related. I'm not that the little segment didn't convince me of that enough. Because if you recall, when the David Stern theory was proposed to us in the episode, Michael came out and said, no, David Stern did not suspend me for 18 months. Okay, it was a definite no. There was a quote. He said, no, this did not happen. There was nothing in the gambling theory segment where he came out and says, no, he did not die because of my gambling. There was nothing like that.
They said that he was just killed by a couple of guys who saw him on the side of the road and wanted to rob him, right? That was what the documentary said.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely a case of, you're more of a documentary connoisseur than I. I think this is a case of the documentary kind of being tainted by the purview of the person that you're documenting, because I feel like this was definitely a Michael Jordan having influence on the documentary, like, because most documentaries you're not supposed to show, like, the subject isn't supposed to have creative control. And the director has kind of gone out of his way to say that he didn't have creative control, but this one kind of felt like okay, we're just not going to really push the buttons too far on this, because they didn't really spend a whole lot of time on his death so much as they spent more time trying to debunk the conspiracy theories. I felt that was just me.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, here's the problem with it. So when you look back at the situation, so if it was just two guys looking to rob him on the side of the road, why would you put his car in the woods and strip it?
Right.
Why? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. To strip a car, just two thieves, they're going to kill a guy, rob him. What? Who gives another thought of stripping a car? If you were more concerned about it, wouldn't you just like break one of the windows and light a fire in it and burn up all the evidence? Why strip it and leave it in the woods? That's what I don't understand.
And a detail that they didn't get into is that the body was so disfigured that the only way they knew it was his father was through the dental records. That's another thing that they didn't touch on, now that I think about it.
Yep.
And so, I'm just kind of going through this, like, just enjoying the footage. And a lot of the footage is incredible, but it's like, you apply that kind of critical thought to it, it's like, I don't think you can consider this a pure documentary. It's kind of, I hate to succumb and use a phrase that one of my LeBron fan friends used, because we all have the LeBron fan friend, right?
Yes.
But one of my LeBron fan friends, who I'm trying to get on here, he said it was kind of propaganda, and I think this is one of the instances of that making itself clear, where it is pretty clearly propaganda, because it's not a good look for Michael because I feel like every controversy that Michael's had in this documentary, they've all been like, oh, well, Michael had a reason for doing that, and his reason was okay. Like, neither of us are black, so we can't justify the, like, we can't talk about the Republicans buy sneakers too in the proper context. But it felt kind of dirty, having like Obama come on and justify something that he did. Like, why not hear from somebody that's not Obama? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you can't spend the whole time you have to present the criticisms validly. And I felt like the only time they gave credence to any of that was when, I think it was Andrea Kramer. She was like talking about the pieces all matching up. Like, if you put the pieces together of the puzzle, that was like the only time they put any thought to that. But then I thought some of the quotes of the episode came from that segment too, where it's like, I don't remember the guy's name, but he said, David Stern is a pure capitalist. Why would he suspend Michael for 18 months?
Right. And when I had actually never heard of that theory. And I think that just goes to show how ridiculous it is. Because I feel like we dive into basketball a lot and the history of basketball, and we have a respect for the history of basketball. I had never heard that before. And when I'm up making popcorn and I'm just listening to this and I just start laughing. I'm like, dude, that makes zero sense to me whatsoever. And this is where I kind of be like, okay, David Stern didn't really just suspend guys and make examples out of people until Malice at the Palace.
Right.
And I find it utterly ridiculous that David Stern would have suspended Michael Jordan for 18 months for gambling. He didn't even break any rules. And
we didn't hear about it. Like,
right.
Obviously, we weren't alive then.
Right.
But, like, the fact that it's a conspiracy, because if you come out and suspend someone for 18 months, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do that quietly. You have to announce that you're, like, there's a union. All this is collectively bargained.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that would be against the rules.
Well, and Michael would have fought that to the very bitter end, whether he was going to serve that or not. So, no. But transitioning into his baseball career, obviously, your boy Reinsdorf, owning the Chicago White Sox, giving Michael Jordan a chance to play baseball. What I found really funny about it is he talked about the media capacity, and Michael Jordan had to play AA ball. I don't believe that for a second, period. That's to put butts in seats. Butts in seats, that's what Reinsdorf is all about, because money talks whether you're dumb or not. And to put Michael Jordan, a guy who's never played professional baseball, into AA, I think is absurd.
Okay, so I'm just going to look up, see if they have the attendance for the 1993 Birmingham Barons. I'm curious. So it doesn't look like they have an attendance record for 1993, but I have to imagine. I don't think you're completely off base here. I think that's probably pretty close to the truth. But also, he is definitely right. I don't think because could you imagine the attendance records that would set at the lower ball affiliates?
Right.
Because AA, they play in like smaller towns,
mm-hmm.
but they're not small towns by any means. Birmingham's not a small town.
No.
I'm looking at the population now. Birmingham, Alabama's population is. Why can't I find this? Why don't they have this? It's 212,000 people. That's not small.
No.
A pretty relatively big-sized place. And so you have Michael Jordan playing in Birmingham. I do think the media thing was kind of true, but it's like sometimes these small towns, the baseball team's all they got,
mm-hmm.
Because it's not like there's going to be a pro football team coming to Birmingham, Alabama.
Right.
Right. This is going to be the closest thing that they ever have to a superstar, except of course when all the White Sox superstars develop in a couple years. But
AB, pipe dream.
Yohan Moncada and Luis Robert, or I might pronounce his last name. I don't really care. We're gonna win. We're gonna win the World Series in 2022. I'm calling it.
Can we put money on that?
No. I just think that it's remarkable that he came in at AA and he hit 202. Like, I feel like there's been both sides of the fence on that one. It's just like, okay, all this dude was hit 200. It's like he came into baseball, and then there's the other people who are pointing out, and I'm on this side of the fence. He didn't play baseball for 14 years, and he came in and hit 200.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the way they made it sound is he was only seeing two types of pitches: fastballs at the beginning when he went on a 14-game hitting streak, and then breaking balls. I mean, 202, like, all right, I guess if you're coming from basketball, I guess that's impressive, but 202 really isn't that impressive. If you batted 202 on an MLB team, you're going to get cut the next season, and you're probably not going to get signed, period. So, I mean, I think Tito was a little off base saying, another, 2,500 at-bats and he would have made the majors. Yeah, I don't know about that. Now, is it another name to put butts in seats again in MLB stadiums? Yeah, sure. The Mets pulled that with Tim Tebow, right? Bo Jackson was another guy that people wanted to see. Deion Sanders, another one of those guys. I don't know. I'm glad Michael Jordan went back to basketball. I'll say that.
Except Tim Tebow actually is kind of not bad. I'm going to look up his baseball stats.
He's probably about the same as Mike.
I think he's better than Mike is doing, if I had to guess. Let's see.
I think he's doing better, but it's still not great.
Ugh. He had 273 in AA, so I mean...
All right, better than Michael already.
AAA is not looking so hot, though.
What is it?
AAA, he hit 163. So
Yikes. And I don't even think Michael got to AAA.
Well, no. And so let's just finish talking about episode 7 before we talk about the end of Jordan's baseball career, because that's when I'll rip into Reinsdorf. But so episode 7 featured the infamous Scottie Pippen sitting at the end of the game against the Knicks. Mm-hmm. And let's just start off getting like your general thoughts on that situation.
So by the end of the story, Scottie got exactly what he deserved for sitting on the bench. Kukoc hit the shot in dramatic fashion and won the game for him. And that's exactly what Scottie deserved. Scottie was looking for his opportunity to step out of the shadow and be the man. Being the man also means being a team player at the same time. Okay. We'll go back to an earlier episode where Phil asked Michael, who's open? It's John Paxson. We'll throw the ball to John Paxson. And Paxson went off, right? Scottie had to, he should have taken a lesson from that and over the years of let's find the guy that can get the shot.
Right.
Phil even said Kukoc had made a shot like that before. Why wouldn't you trust this kid? I know he's still a rookie out of Europe, but he gained your respect in 92 at the Olympics. Let's see what the kid can do. Let's start building something of our own. And of all people to make a speech, Bill Cartwright, who looks like, my grandpa, who I have to teach how to use a smartphone, gives this stirring speech that makes Scottie Pippen cry, and he apologizes and everything's cool. I mean, I think it's a good learning. I think it was one of those learning lessons for Scottie Pippen, and I think it'd be a learning lesson for anybody who watches the documentary, who plays sports and wants to be the guy. I think it just goes beyond hitting the last shot.
There was a real funny Bomani Jones tweet from Sunday. It's like, Bill Cartwright looks like he's always about to preach to you or ask you about the Bible.
It's true, man. He's sporting this really nice sweater in the document. I'm like, man, dude. Some of these players I look at and I'm like, dude, there's no way you're a basketball player.
Judd Bushler.
Yes. I looked at him. I'm like, dude, there's no way. There's no
Judd
way.
Bushler looks like he does your dad's taxes or something like that. Like,
right? Will Purdue looks like he's his partner in doing taxes, right? I mean, it's crazy to look at these guys, some of these guys, and be like, dude, there's no way you played basketball, especially with Michael Jordan.
It's funny. Steve Kerr is like the only guy that looks like that, but Steve Kerr also just looks way better than he did when he was playing.
Yeah. I think he aged quite well.
Like better haircuts now for sure. I think we can both agree with that.
Yeah.
But Judd Bushler's hairline isn't doing him any favors.
Not at all. Not at all.
So when they were talking up, my thing with the Scottie Pippen is, right, I understand why he felt upset about that. It was his team, his stats that year. So, there's 5 players to lead their team in all 5 major statistical categories, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Scottie Pippen in 94-95 was one of those guys. Or I guess 93-94 would have been the season. He had 21.4 points, 8.1 rebounds, 5 assists, almost 3 steals, and a block a game. It's like,
you can't be upset with that stat line day in and day out.
And I mean, he was by far their most consistent player. He felt it's not easy being the second banana. Why do you think Shaq was forced out of Los Angeles? Why do you think? And it's hard to be the second banana for as long as Scottie was. Scottie was the second banana for about 10 years. Kobe was done with it after doing it for about 6. So and Kawhi, just all these examples. Kawhi turned himself into the first one eventually by the time he left San Antonio. But it's like, it sucks being the second option. Nobody likes being the second option. And when you're the first option, I can understand why it was a slap in the face to him. And I can understand why he didn't regret it. I think when he said that, I don't think he meant it in the way that people think he meant it. I think the way people thought what Scottie said was, I would do it all over again because it was the right thing to do. Like, they thought he did it out of principle. I think what Scottie was saying is that he wouldn't change it since, let me find the right way to say this. He wouldn't change it since he learned so much from it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hope that is what he meant, because, I mean, it did sound bad. It did sound bad when it came off. I'm like, dude, really? I'm like, does he still not get it? But I feel like he did, but I don't know. I wish he would have given a little more context there.
This documentary isn't doing Scottie any favors.
No, it's really not. It's really not.
When MJ said they were scared this documentary was gonna make him look like a bad guy, she should have said this documentary is gonna make Scottie look like a bad guy. They're not doing him any favors. They're making him seem unapologetic. Like, Scottie is just as arrogant as Michael, right?
Yeah.
And it's every right to be.
Yep.
And so all this stuff about, I talked about this on the podcast I did with Ryan Gregory, but like when he said, I'm not gonna mess my summer up. Like, that's meant to come off as selfish, but like at the same time, when you feel so disrespected by an organization, I don't blame him for feeling that way.
Right.
I really
Especially
don't.
if you're not getting paid and signing a ludicrous contract that he should have never signed in the first place.
Right. And so I think real quick, let's just talk about the end of episode 7, because that was great.
Yeah. Yep. Winning comes at a price. Playing with Michael Jordan comes at a price too. Some people could handle it. Some people could not. And I thought it was really interesting that Michael, kind of got emotional about it. It's, you say, okay, there's a lot of haters and skeptics, out there. And he's like, it's because you ain't won nothing. I mean, in a sense, he's right, you know, and winning does come at a price. And he wasn't afraid to get in your butt, like he said. And he just had a different way of leading. Is it the best way? I don't know. I mean, yes and no, I guess. Yeah, everybody has different leadership styles. It's not something that everybody is receptive to. You know, me, you know, I it wouldn't bother me, you know, him getting after me or anyone getting after me like that. You know, it would make me want to work harder. Yeah, it would probably get me down for a second. I'm not going to lie to you, but I mean, he's right at the end of the day. And some of those guys endured it and went all the way with him, all 6 championships, Scotty being one of those guys. And no, I thought that was a great piece.
I think Michael's right for himself. Like, all you need to do is look into San Antonio and have Michael, like, you could win Tim Duncan's way. Mm-hmm. Tim Duncan's just as competitive as Michael Jordan.
Yep.
That's just a fact.
Yep.
But Tim Duncan's famously not a jerk. Like, right. Everybody loves Tim Duncan. Not right. Everybody.
How could you not?
Not everybody likes Kobe. You know, it's like, but those guys are all winners on the highest scale. You know, Magic was a jerk. Larry was a jerk. Kareem, really, really distant. You know, all the greatest players have their personality quirks. It doesn't require one kind of guy to win, but one bad guy can make a bad bunch out of the group. It's like, look at Dennis Rodman in San Antonio versus Dennis Rodman in Chicago.
Yeah, night and day.
Dennis Rodman in San Antonio could be accurately described as a bad influence on the clubhouse. And now Dennis Rodman in Chicago, key member of a championship team.
Right, but Michael Jordan also demanded the command of the locker room and was able to keep guys in line, which I thought he did very well. He had a way with Dennis and Scotty and B.J. Armstrong and Horace Grant, even though Horace Grant kind of looks soft coming out of this documentary, in my opinion.
They're not making him look good, but...
No.
He definitely isn't getting as much respect. I mean, the documentary isn't like giving a whole lot of respect to a whole lot of people, but that's because they're moving at such a really fast pace. But at the same time, you don't win those first 3 championships if Horace Grant's not their starting power forward. That's just
totally agree.
Like, and so the fact that they're kind of just brushing him off to the side kind of irks me a little bit. But at the same time, I kind of get the creative choice. But like, let's just do this as a transition to episode 8 now, because that's kind of, they just kind of brushed over the fact that Glenn Rice was far and away the best player on the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, I know. Like, he got no screen time. Like, we're looking at B.J. Armstrong's moment in the sun, where it really wasn't, he really didn't do anything spectacular, but you have Glenn Rice on there.
You want to know how many points B.J. Armstrong had in that game?
Wasn't it like 10?
It was 10.
Yeah, it's just nonsense, dude. You don't win that game with B.J. Armstrong. Okay, maybe he'll give you tips, but you don't win that game. Not to mention, you only won one game. You upset Michael Jordan so bad that he came back and won the next 3? Because it was best of 5 then, right?
No, that was the second round though. So they won the next 3.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it's and I hate that they were it was funny that the documentary was highlighting these key players, just their one moment in the sun. It was, we beat Michael Jordan. And then he comes back and sticks you the next 3 or 4 games, right? You know, Gary Payton thought he had Michael. B.J. Armstrong thought he had Michael. Horace Grant was reveling in the fact that his Magic team beat an not out of shape, but non-basketball body Michael Jordan, right? It's just amazing to me that, you know, all you had to do was just push Michael just a little bit and he'd come out and destroy you. I mean, shoot, he was saying, George Karl didn't say hey, and it made him mad.
Right. We'll get to that.
What is that?
We're going to have to talk about the Sonics. We'll talk about his... Because there was a lot of good Michael Jordan being a psychopath in the Sonics section of the documentary. But
right.
I just want to take a second and talk about the players on the 97-98 Charlotte Hornets. This is just a great collection of that guys. So, okay. Obviously, B.J. Armstrong played for the Hornets. Mm-hmm. Muggsy Bogues still on the Hornets in 1998. Del Curry on the Hornets. Surprised they didn't go with the Steph connection there. Vlad Divac on the Hornets.
Young Vladdy.
Anthony Mason on the Hornets. Mm-hmm. Vernon Maxwell. Glenn Rice, obviously. So it's like, that's just I just wanted to take a second to laugh at some of the good names that were on the 97-98 Hornets. That was
that's all it was, a team of names besides Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice was peak.
What did you think about the Bradford Smith story?
I thought it was great. And who better to tell it than David Aldridge?
Him and J.A. Adande honestly should be getting way more screen time than they are.
I totally agree. I think they're unbiased guys that know a whole lot about sports. I mean, J.A. Adande, you see him everywhere, right? We don't get enough David Aldridge stuff. Ever since he's gone with TNT just to be a sideline reporter, I feel like he's grossly underutilized at TNT. Grossly underutilized.
He's not at TNT anymore. He's actually at the Athletic.
Oh, is he? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he actually has a podcast. I'll have to send you the link, but the podcast is really good.
Oh, I'm all over that then.
And they have really great guests on that too. It's called Hoops, Adjacent. Go listen to that. I'm giving them a free plug. I don't know why, but it's just it's one of those podcasts you look forward to every week.
Well, and it's David Aldridge. He's not a bad guy. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought that whole story I thought was fantastic. Good game, Mike. Famous last words, right? In Michael Jordan's mind. I also thought the rules that Michael Jordan gave about talking crap was pretty good too. Him just swinging a bat, smoking a cigar. Again, That's the kind of content that I was hoping for out of this documentary. It's just one of those moments that you would never see unless it was in a documentary. And that gave me exactly what I'm looking for out of this.
And we all know Michael Jordan smokes a ton of cigars, but I don't think we realized how often he smoked cigars until watching this documentary.
Yeah, dude, everywhere. He's literally in his practice uniform smoking a cigar. Like, what?
That man has to single-handedly pump a bunch of money into the cigar industry every year. Like, if we looked into cigar sellers, I wonder how much of them would be Jordan, Michael.
Do you think there's a Jordan cigar out there?
There has to be.
Crazy.
There's no way there isn't.
Right?
That man has done so many cigars.
Right, like a Jumpman cigar or something like that?
Unfortunately, it does not look like there is one. However, a website called Cigar Aficionado has a one-on-one with Michael Jordan that published in August of 2005.
Wow.
Oh, these are awful pants. These are truly...
Yeah, Michael Jordan has bad pants selection. I think that's established.
I'm going to go ahead and send you the link, and I just want you to open the link and just agree with me that those pants are awful.
Let's take a look at these. Oh, boy.
This is riveting audio, by the way, but I want you to describe the pants for the audience.
Oh, brother. Okay. So... Take his baggy jeans look and turn them into a pinstripe suit material, and that's what you got.
They're so bad.
Oh, jeez, man. I know. Maybe if Michael dresses himself, he really does him a disservice. But I guess when you're the greatest basketball player in history, you can wear whatever you want.
Oh, God. Imagine, I wonder if they had to have done that in his house. There's way too many trophies. But imagine just like walking around in that.
I wonder what the airflow is like in those.
Gotta be a real big draft.
We wear tighter jeans, tighter pants these days, and it gets hot in there some days. But the airflow must have been great.
They mentioned it in one of the first. They mentioned it in the Rodman episode, but Dennis was a real pioneer in the '90s with those tight jeans, because now everybody wears tight jeans, and I'm just saying, Dennis Rodman ahead of his time. Okay.
Oh, brother.
Now to transition awkwardly off of that, I think now's the time for my Jerry Reinsdorf take. And Jerry Reinsdorf, at the beginning of the 8th episode, after they discussed the Charlotte Hornets stuff with BJ Armstrong, had the nerve to talk about replacement players playing in the 1995 season. Does he not have any self-awareness? He caused that baseball strike. That strike is because of him. This is documented. He was hawkish on the strike. He was like, I just pulled up an old SI article, and one of the owners was like, guys, I think the strike might be a bad idea. And Reinsdorf said, well, we have one of the new owners who thinks he's so smart. In a couple months, he'll be dumb just like the rest of us. It's like, come on now. And the 1994 White Sox were on pace to win the championship. I'm convinced. Okay, we finished the season 67-46. We were first in the Central. Okay, do you just want me to read you Frank Thomas's stats from that year?
I think they do.
They finished the season in August. Okay, he had 38 home runs and 100 RBI. In August, the man was going to finish with 55 home runs. He was hitting 353. He had 487 on base. Dude, 729 slugging. Like, do people realize how crazy those stats are? I don't think 109 walks in finishing your season in 113 games is insanity. And we blew it because Jerry wanted to strike. He wanted to lock. They didn't lock the players out, obviously, but he doesn't want to sign big contracts. The biggest free agent contract he signed in the history of the franchise until last offseason was Albert Bell for $55 million in 1998. That was the biggest free agent contract they'd ever signed. And
does anybody know who Albert Bell is? Absolutely not.
Not anymore, they don't. In the 90s, sure, you know who Albert Bell was. Now? No. Why? How would you know? Albert Bell busted with the White Sox, and that was the only big contract they ever signed. He was a major part of the collusion that happened, I believe it was 1987. And so this guy, and I don't even need to get into all the stuff that he's done to the Bulls, but I'll just say empowering Garpax to stay as the head of the front office that long.
It hurt. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad they're finally moving this along. Get Zach LaVine some help. That kid is special.
I just don't think Jerry Reinsdorf had any sense of self-awareness when they were interviewing him for this. Because, he was like, replacement players, you're the one that caused the strike. And it just is aggravating that he can't just take the time to look in the mirror and be like, okay, well, I'm the reason the strike happened. Maybe I really shouldn't comment on the replacement players thing.
Yeah, that was a bad move there. And I think Jerry Reinsdorf is going to get off on this okay, because not very many people know about that unless, you lived during that era and you know what was going on. So he's going to get off scotch-free here. But, yeah, Reinsdorf... Yeah, the things that he pulled him and Krause together, not a big fan, and Reinsdorf is loyal to a fault until he has to spend money. And That is one thing he does not like to do. So, yeah, not a fan of Reinsdorf, not a fan.
and I've been hearing a lot more. Krause was like by no means a likable guy, right? That's been made plenty clear through this documentary. But Reinsdorf is just kind of willing to pass all the like he kind of then and now used Krause as like a punching bag. Like, okay, you're gonna get all the blame I should be getting, and then I'll get all the credit when things go right.
Mm-hmm.
Which may, doing a little bit of pop psychology, may in turn have caused all the issues that Krause had with wanting more recognition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I think there were so many egos within that organization that it just came to a head finally, and one of the egos decided to make moves. Now, I also think this is before all of the player empowerment era that we see today, right? Like, but I'm sure if Michael Jordan went to Reinsdorf and went above Jerry Krause's head, or maybe he could have gone to Krause and said, I want this guy, or I want a new coach. You're telling me that they would have traded Michael Jordan or cut him before doing everything they possibly could to make him happy? I don't think so. And that's why I feel like Krause maybe felt like in 98 he could get rid of Phil and everything would be all right. And it wasn't.
So in the Jordan rules, there was one guy that they did try to bring in. I don't think they ended up bringing him in, but he played for UNC, and Michael was real mad that they didn't end up bringing him in. His name was Walter Davis, and it turns out he ended up sucking after he wanted, because he was old.
Mm-hmm.
And so he ended up not being good after Michael wanted them to bring him in. And I mean, it's given his track record as an executive, it's probably a good thing that he wasn't empowered to tell the honest truth.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it adds to the legacy, in my opinion. You know, it was Krause and Reinsdorf said, okay, here you go. Here's who you're playing with. Good luck. You know, make it happen for us. And he did.
Going back to what we were talking about earlier, like LeBron's choice in role players really hasn't been bad. Mike Miller.
No.
You know, Channing Frye. Channing Frye wouldn't have, at that point in his career, wouldn't have succeeded anywhere but Cleveland. You know?
Right. And I think the same thing about Iman Shumpert.
Mm-hmm.
You know, J.R. Smith, you know, he had a name for him before, but I feel like he was kind of fading off by the wayside. And, you know, after the finals debacle, you know, that didn't obviously bode well for him. But I mean, what also bothers me about LeBron is, and this era is everybody's friends, right? But, you know, D Wade got cut off Bron's team. And he refuses to give Carmelo Anthony a job for whatever reason. I don't understand it. He's pleading for everybody to sign him, but he won't go to the Lakers front office or Cleveland's front office and say, sign this guy. Why? If you're such good buddies with him and he deserves a job, why can't he play on your team and help you get a ring? What's the difference? Right? But no, I commend Jordan for not. Again, I think it just might have been a product of the time of there's really no power or player empowerment. It's these are the guys you're playing with. If you want to win a chip, you better make it work. We'll do the best we can.
And also, I do have to say, Jordan's player empowerment was also kind of weeding guys off the team that didn't need to be on the team.
Right.
Like, it hurts me to say because I love Stacey King because he's such a good – I love him as an announcer for the Bulls. But Jordan bullied Stacey King. Jordan bullied Dennis Hobson. A lot of Ohio State guys, I'll just say, from the 80s. Sorry to but
come on, AB.
Hey, listen, tell that to Dennis Hobson and Brad Sellers, not to Michael Jordan.
Hey, props to Scotty Burrell for sticking around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Like, okay, that's another – when Michael said Scotty Burrell's a nice guy, Michael's a nice guy, that's not a compliment from.
No, that wasn't meant to be a compliment at all.
He was like, Scott Burrell, was just a nice guy. And I don't think anyone's ever said that with such disdain in their voice. Like,
but Scott's cool with it, it's all in fun. He was tweeting after it, he was cool about it. I thought, Scott Burrell looks like a guy that I want to hang out with,
right.
play a little hoops.
Right. I thought, could you, I don't know how Kobe and Lamar Odom got along, but if Michael played with Lamar Odom, his career would have been over in 2 seasons.
Yeah. It probably wouldn't have shocked him that Lamar took the crack route. Insert Stephen A. Smith quote here.
Yeah.
He was on crack.
My first move as the executive was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
But it's some of the guys that Kobe made succeed, I don't think would have survived with Jordan. I think Jordan was tougher than Kobe was, and Kobe was legendarily rough too.
Right. The Charmin comments, especially,
I'm surprised nothing like that has come out. We haven't really gotten anything rough from Michael in the practice.
Punching Steve Kerr.
But I'm surprised we didn't see the video of that.
I would like the video. That'd have been nice.
Because they video every practice.
Right.
How do you think they have all this video? Okay, this is such a weird transition, but I just want to talk about this. At the beginning of episode 7, when they're doing the game, they just have this really cool sideline angle of Michael facing up. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's Michael facing up, and the camera's he's kind of out of frame, but it's just I would want to watch a game at that angle. Getting to see everything. I thought it was cool. You might disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I want to make sure I see the entire court. I want to see everything.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
But I just thought it was cool. They have all these different angles that aren't the game camera angles and are also, for some reason, much more HD.
Yeah, right. Hey, man, if you're recording Michael Jordan for an entire season, you better have some good stuff. You better have some good equipment. My
question is, if you just go back and watch any of those old games, it's like trying to watch them on a toaster. Especially anytime after 94 for some reason. The quality of the cameras just got worse. Go try and watch a game in 2002. It looks just you can't see anything.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I really don't.
It's just confusing. How did the quality of the cameras get worse?
Budget cuts. Maybe they moved away from a company. I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, ABC now does a phenomenal job of the finals. That's you can't ever complain of ABC and TNT. Yep. You can always tell who's who.
Yep.
You need to spot a random player. One of my favorites is always just looking up in any random game through the years and being is that Mike Scott? That's always a good.
Mike Scott. Oh my goodness. I don't like that guy.
I think he's a good role player, but
he's okay.
I don't really have any thoughts about him personally. I just think he's a guy personally.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy.
So, okay. Rest of episode 8. What did you think about the Supersonics portion?
It's kind of nostalgic. Well, not for me, because obviously I didn't live through that and I didn't watch it, but it makes you miss the Supersonics. I do recall that. I recall Kevin Durant being drafted by the Supersonics. Move a team back to Seattle, please, NBA, please. Right. They deserve it. But seeing Gary Payton and that team have the success they did with a legendary coach in George Karl, who I'm a big fan of. I like George Karl as a guy and also as a coach. So, and then the fact that I think the biggest meme that we took away from this entire week was Jordan laughing at the iPad, listening to Gary Payton say, "I had Michael."
Or
Like that was a joke, man. That's so funny.
I have no problem with the glove.
A lot of people back down the bike. I didn't. I made it a point. I said, just tire him out. Tire the out of him. You just got to tire him out. And I kept hitting him and then banging him and hitting him and banging him. It took a toll on Mike. It took a toll, and then I feel myself resting him a little bit, and then the series changed. And I wish I could have did it earlier. I don't know if the outcome would have been different, but it was a difference with and beating him down a little bit.
The glove. I had no problem with the glove. I had no problem with Gary Payton.
Right.
That was pure cocky Michael to me, and to be honest, I think we as a culture say we don't like people being cocky, but we love it. We eat it up.
Yeah, whether it's hatred or we love it. Like, for me, I don't have a problem with Conor McGregor. A lot of people want to see his face get smashed in. I don't have a problem with it. I like it. I like characters. I think it makes sports a whole lot more fun. You know, obviously we didn't see that character really come out in Michael, that cockiness, until we're kind of seeing this now when he's saying, I have no problem with the glove, you know. But I also feel like there was a little conspiracy there. Who's to say that Michael didn't want to win the championship on Father's Day?
I mean, that's interesting angle. I mean, the glove did hold him. He says he had no problem with the glove, but he kind of had a problem with the glove.
What are the stats?
I'm pulling them up right now. I know he shot Game 5 wasn't a problem for him. That wasn't the issue. But the games after, he averaged 24 points a game, which is low for MJ.
Right.
36% from the field. Or I'll give him 37.
Okay.
He did get to the line 10 times a game.
Okay.
And so Game 4 shot 6 for 19. Game 5 shot 11 for 22, but only made it to the foul line 5 times. And Game 6 shot 5 for 19.
Okay.
So to say he didn't have a problem with the glove is kind of a lie.
Well, unless what he truly said, and he said he had other things on his mind, if that truly did play a factor in it, I could see it. I mean, it's hard to not just give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, his dad died. I mean, what are you going to say to that? Oh, dude, that's no big deal, right? Nobody's going to say that. Which,
Right.
did I feel like it did affect him? Yeah, I do. I think that was the one thing that Michael Jordan couldn't compartmentalize. I think that's part of the reason why he left basketball, or maybe the only reason he left basketball. And for it to come back to him a couple years later during that finals, I could see it happen. I really could. But, I mean, I think there might have been a little conspiracy on winning it on Father's Day. I think it makes for a great story. I also think it means something to Michael to win it on Father's Day. I mean, if you're trying to tell me that if Michael Jordan wanted to win, that he just wouldn't go out there and win.
Right. But, I mean, to be fair, they had the Bob Costas intro, and it's like, with all due respect to the Seattle Supersonics fans, the overwhelming feeling in Chicago is that the Bulls will make light work of this series. I'm pretty sure the Supersonics that season finished, let's see their record. They finished 64-18.
It's a good season.
They weren't that much worse. I mean, it's crazy to say. It's kind of like when the Warriors won 73 and the Spurs won 67. I mean, obviously they never faced each other. But, like, It's kind of like the difference between 73 and 67 isn't that much.
No. Nope. It's all about, you win 67 games in a season. I count that season as a success.
Right.
Period.
And so they kind of just glossed over how, because the Sonics were good. They had the current coach of the Pacers, Nate McMillan.
Yep.
He was a really good player. I mean, George Karl said that was the reason why he didn't want to put Peyton on he did an interview on Levitard show this week. He said the reason why he didn't want to put Peyton on MJ the first 3 games was that he didn't have a backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Although, you know who was a rookie that year that I just now realized was on the 96 Sonics?
Who?
Eric Snow.
Ah, yes, another LeBron role player.
LeBron
in Cleveland. And AI, yes. AI before LeBron.
Is Eric Snow the most dragged to the finals never won player of all time? I think I'd have to say yes.
That's a tough career for Eric Snow.
Hey man, I'm sure he's proud of himself. I'm sure he made enough money to.
Oh, I'm sure.
But Hersey Hawkins is good. Sean Kemp, obviously. Sam Perkins was good.
Wait, so let me go back to Sean Kemp for a second. What did you think about the legalized Kemp sign? That's got to be one of the all-time greatest signs I've ever seen.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I'm all about puns. Full stop. There's nothing. I don't think I love doing anything more in the world than making puns. So legalize Kemp. I'm all the way down for it. You know, that's completely on brand for me.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems fitting for a place like Seattle to have a sign like that.
Oh, absolutely. There is no greater place in the world than Seattle in the 90s for a legalized Kemp sign.
Sorry, I had to touch on that. I thought that was really good.
Now, I totally would have forgotten about that if you hadn't brought it up, so I'm glad you did. What else? I feel like we're missing something from episode.
What about, well, I want to talk about George Karl.
Okay.
I feel like he's a vastly underrated coach. See, what I know him of the Nugget his Nuggets teams with Melo and J.R. Smith. That's what I know George Karl from.
Let's see. What's his life? He finished 1,175 wins against 824 losses. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, surprisingly, given how long he coached, that was the only time he made the finals.
Yeah, which is shocking for a coach like him.
Although
I really thought he did a good job in Denver.
NBA truthers will say that he should have made the finals in 2001 with Milwaukee. But, I mean,
was that Glenn Robinson?
That was the Big Dog, Sam Cassell, Ray Allen.
Yeah. Okay.
Big Dog Glenn Robinson, I should say, for people who aren't familiar.
If you're from Indiana, you better know who Glenn Robinson is.
He made the conference finals 3 times, made the finals once. I think he's solid. I mean, a lot of players have issues with him, but I like the way he's a good talker. And I mean, that'll always get people to your side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had a couple of bad years in Sacramento there that weren't.
Yeah.
But
they weren't the greatest.
The only coach that has had a good year in Sacramento the last decade was Dave Yeager, and they fired him. So
bring back Dave Yeager. Give Dave Yeager a job. I don't care where. Give Dave Yeager a job. He's a good guy.
He's a really good coach, but I think George Karl was really good at optimizing talent. I mean, that 2013 Nuggets team should not have won 57 games.
No, not at all.
Like, that team was not built to win. There's no way you could have said they were going to win 57 games. I mean, they ended up losing in the first round, but Steph became a superstar in that series. I think we can both agree. That's when Steph ascended a level. Because Steph was a star in 2013, but I have no problems with George Karl, really. So, okay, I guess my question is, what they said in this documentary about him, what would you have done if you were George Karl? Would you have talked to him? Would you have not talked to him?
I don't understand why he didn't, say hello.
I think someone explained that. So, you remember Brendan Malone from earlier in the...
Yeah, absolutely.
So he said to George not to talk to him, or he told nobody on the team to talk to Michael because they didn't want to poke the bear, right?
Yeah.
And so they didn't want, and George Karl was like, I'm not sure if I talk to him because then I'm breaking what our team is going for.
But I mean, all you have to do is just, especially if you play golf together.
Especially, Michael has such a thing for Carolina guys. Like, if there's one thing that's made clear throughout his entire life, is that he loves North Carolina, the University of North Carolina, more than he loves anything.
It's true.
It's true. This is an undisputed fact. I mean, go look at his track record.
Right, and well, he put James Worthy on his all-time lineup if he had to make one.
He turned Marvin Williams' career around just by employing him for that long.
Yeah.
It's like,
I miss Hawks Marvin Williams though.
I mean, Marvin Williams somehow turned himself into a UNC player, Charlotte Hornets. I'm pretty sure didn't Hansborough play for the?
Yes, he did.
Play for the Hornets.
Yes, he did.
So it's like, and something I wish this documentary kind of got into is that he wore Carolina shorts under his Bull shorts.
Yeah. We haven't seen any of those yet.
And I wish they just would have shown that, but.
Well, you know what? Back to shorts though. You know where that came from? The movie Space Jam that he filmed on there.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Okay. So my question is this. He's like, Reggie said in the middle of the doc, because they were doing all those practices in Los Angeles, right?
Which is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, that was incredible footage. It's like he's wanted to scout the guys. Are you telling me that Michael Jordan didn't have a scouting report on Reggie Miller? On Chris Mullin? On Dennis Rodman? He'd been playing with these guys since the 80s.
Right. I think that was just I don't know. I find it was crazy that Warner Brothers was willing to give Michael Jordan whatever he wanted for him to do this movie. You want a basketball court and a gym? Yeah, sure. And what Reggie said at the end saying, I don't know how he did it. We'd play till 9, 10 o'clock, and then he would get a lift in, and his wake-up call was like 6 a.m. What? I mean, maybe it's something – maybe that's how LeBron is going through this right now, which if he does that, that's insane too, by the way. But that whole sequence – I want more footage of those pickup games, by the way. And It was call your own fouls. How many fouls? I mean, how much crap talking must there be in a game with all those guys about calling their own fouls?
And I just know that Magic showed up. That there's no way Magic, because Magic, the legend is that he used to run pickup games at UCLA all the time.
I believe that.
And so there's no way Magic wasn't at those runs. There's just you can't get me to believe that.
Well, it's kind of like it was like a pro-am before a pro-am, right? Mm-hmm. It was, dude, you got to go to LA and play with Michael at the Warner Brothers Studios. Now it's like, dude, go play in the Drew League, go play in the Crossover League, go play in all these different, pro-ams, which I think there should be more of during the summers, in my opinion. But that's crazy stuff, man. I loved every second of that segment.
And it's just like all those. I think Juwan Howard was there. I don't remember who all was there, but it was just like a real crazy collection of talent. Like they were showing a bunch of the players. It was like just crazy. I think this is my last thing I have to say about the documentary. I just wish they'd interviewed Bill Murray. He's available.
Oh, yeah. To talk about Michael Jordan, I think Bill Murray would be more than happy to talk about Michael Jordan.
Bill Murray's the guy that just walks into random parties. Are you telling me he doesn't want to talk about Michael Jordan?
Right. Can we give Justin Timberlake back and bring Bill Murray in?
Right. Right. I mean, come on now. Are you there's no way they interviewed him, because if they did, he'd be in the documentary. But come on now.
Yeah, they did us a disservice here.
I will say, last comment. BJ Armstrong is just, I could listen to him talk all day.
Yeah, I like BJ Armstrong. I like Kukoc. I could listen to him too.
Kukoc amazes me in he's very nonchalant in his being angry.
Yeah, he seems like nothing's going on.
He's like in the Dream Team episode, he's like, I don't know why these, like in the most like nonchalant voice, I don't know why these guys are coming after me. I don't know them.
I don't know anything about the Bulls. Yeah, man, love Kukoc. Love Armstrong too.
And they need to let Scotty talk more, frankly, but
yeah, to try to help himself out. Yes,
because you can't tell the Michael Jordan story without Scottie Pippen.
No, and Michael even said that. There is no Michael Jordan without a Scottie Pippen.
But it feels like to me that they're not properly highlighting that. So that's just. Do you have anything else, Bryce?
No, I'm excited about next week though. We got the 1998 Pacers Bulls season. Mm-hmm. Went to a full game 7, or went to 7 games. Very excited to see that and talk about that. And obviously we know what happens, but it's a good moment in Pacers history. But also very. I guess it's what you expect what would happen to a Pacers team that was good. Losing 7 to the best player in the league at the time. What else is new?
Right. And also, we're going to make sure we spend a good amount of time talking about how terrible Chris Mullin's haircut was.
Yeah.
Really awful.
Yep, very bad. Bald head Chris Mullin, that's a no-go for me.
And so I think that'll just about do it. I'm actually going to have 3 episodes this week, believe it or not. My voice box is going to explode by the end of the week, I'm sure. And so tomorrow, or I'm going to post this on Thursday. And then on Friday, I should have a very exciting non-sports podcast out with my friend Dylan Hughes, with our friend Dylan Hughes. It should be fun. And then Saturday or Sunday, we'll get that game rewatch pod that you'll find out what it is. But it involves Michael Jordan. And thanks for listening. Bryce Shade, I didn't say your last name at the front. I'll say it now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on once again.
And thanks for listening.